Hey, you are listening to the Boston Celtics newsfeed. This is Celtics Roundtable. We are powered by CLNS Radio, coming to you after the Boston Celtics have a much overdue good performance, beating the Chicago Bulls in Game 3 of the first round, 104-87. They're now down 2-1 in the series. I'm Matt Ignall. I'm joined by my brother Jonathan. We got Jonathan Levy, and we are welcoming in David Davis, valued member of Celtics Twitter and kind retweeter of this podcast. But we're gonna start with Levy here. Was this like a much overdue game for the Celtics, or do you think that there's something here that the Celtics can really build on?
I don't necessarily think there's a lot to build on here. I think the Celtics shot 46% from three-point range while shooting 37 of them, while the Bulls shot 28% from three-point range. I think that was a lot of the game. The Bulls crushed the Celtics on the boards, but luckily, for once, it didn't matter. The Bulls remembered who they were a little bit.
I'm surprised you say that because you said in the last podcast that you really wanted to see the Celtics like get mean particularly on the defensive end. And I look at this game, the Chicago Bulls scored 87 points. That's really low, especially since the way they were scoring throughout the first two games of the series. It almost seems like they kind of followed your suggestion. Avery Bradley, like in particular, had an amazing game, and he guarded Jimmy Butler like as basically as well as possible.
Actually, that's a fair point. I did notice Avery especially like crushing it on defense multiple times, not just against Jimmy Butler. He shut down Michael Carter-Williams. I know that doesn't sound like much of a feat, but it was impressive to watch Michael Carter-Williams look like he was just going nowhere. It's like Frogger, and there just kept being, another truck in the road. And he just side to side, never forward. Rondo not being in the game may have actually made a difference too. That was nice. Al Horford was scrapping in the first half. I was loving that.
The big difference for me was Chicago was lacking a point guard. Like, forget everything you've seen or heard in the past 4 years. Playoff Rondo is real. I was wrong on the podcast last time.
You laughed at me. You and Keith Smith laughed at me.
I think I had good reason. I mean, it's not like it was one season. Like, we saw Dallas Rondo. We saw Sacramento Rondo. And this season, it's not like he's been lighting the world on fire. But honestly, Rajon Rondo has been great. And Chicago's lacking a point guard. Like, it doesn't even have to be Rondo. It could be an adequate point guard, but it can't be Jerry Grant, Michael Carter-Williams, or Cameron Payne. Like, that's not good enough for playoff minutes, especially when you're going against Isaiah Thomas. So I think it's all related to Rajon Rondo. Like, 14 assists from the Chicago Bulls. That's not cutting it. I guarantee they have more if Rondo plays. And yes, only 6 made three-pointers. Yeah, they missed a lot of shots that they made in the first two games, but they're going to get much better looks if they have an actual point guard. And I thought that was the big glaring difference for me.
I think the key to this game also was the bench, because in the first two games, the bench didn't really, made like a production. So I think the bench, I think Terry Rozier did a nice job. The minutes he came in, Jerebko did a nice solid job. Although I feel like they should have played Zeller a little bit more.
Oh, so you're another member of Zeller Island. Yeah,
just I feel like he brings the energy a little bit at times. In the stretches he comes in. The difference was, the Celtics set a tone early, and that's what I liked about the game.
Yeah, it was weird. The move, I guess not too many people were expecting, but I wasn't too surprised with it. I thought they would start smart. Instead, he went with Brad Stevens went with Gerald Green, and Gerald Green played 20 minutes. He didn't do too much out there, but I don't know. I feel like it helped the Celtics get the ball moving, which is something they struggled a lot with, like 33 points in that first quarter. It'd be hard to find a bench player who could stretch the floor as well as Gerald Green. So it made sense in that sense. He obviously gives a lot away on the defensive end. But, yeah, the Celtics just came out the right way. A lot of energy on defense and then just moving the ball and spacing the floor on offense. They really played their type of game.
I mean, the Celtics are the better team of the two, for sure. So the Celtics don't have to play their A-plus game. They just have to play a reasonably good game, and they need the Bulls not to play out of their minds. And the Celtics should win most of the time in that situation. And so this is one of those spots where the Celtics played pretty well. Not amazing, but pretty darn well. The Bulls played kind of poorly. Celtics won. And so, now they just got to keep doing that. They got to do that for 3 of the next 4 games and have it all work out. We're gonna need a break or two. But it is amazing to me that Gerald Green, I know he got the start. It was a shock start for sure from my point of view. He played more minutes than Jaylen Brown, than Kelly Olynyk, and then Amir Johnson. Almost only one less minute than those 3 players combined. That's insane. That's insane. But it worked, so who cares?
Yeah, I mean, especially after when he didn't play a single minute in game 2. That was a super shocking late start. Do you guys think he's going to go with Gerald Green in Game 3?
I think so. I mean, it worked,
I think so,
right?
yeah.
The other second main adjustment was, at least rotation-wise, was giving Terry Rozier 23 minutes, and he was paired a lot with Marcus Smart, a pairing that didn't work too well in the regular season, but Terry Rozier, for the second straight playoffs, is playing well. 4 for 6, a plus 19, 11 points for him. He's an athletic presence out there, and while he's not necessarily good, he provides a little bit of, playmaking ability, or at least a little bit of dynamism off the dribble, which is something, it's one of the main weaknesses of the Celtics.
It's not every day you're calling a guy a playmaker, and then you look to the box score and he has 0 assists on the game. The only reason Terry Rozier got 23 minutes is because he hit shots. But another big thing, I think people need to realize that the Bulls really came back down to earth. Like, Paul Zipser isn't Kyle Korver out there.
Right.
Robin Lopez isn't 2010 Dwight Howard.
Right.
Jimmy Butler really takes his time to get into the game. At least he has 2 out of the 3 games in the series. So that was a little confusing to see. I think Jimmy's going to come out firing away.
I mean, he can fire away all he wants. He's going to shoot 7 for 21 or something close to it. That's fine with me. Celtics, coming back to that defensive point Matt was making, the 2 big stars on the Bulls held 13 for 39 shooting. That is outrageous. That's Jay Crowder, Marcus Smart, and Avery Bradley doing what we needed them to do. They're going to have to do that for the rest of this series and really for the rest of the playoffs, however long they last, to have any kind of a fighting chance to advance.
2 weird notes from this game. One, KG apparently sent the Celtics an inspirational message before the game.
Sure, there was in there somewhere.
KG, inspirational message to the Celtics. Avery Bradley said that that really motivated them. And then Rajon Rondo, for all his talk about not being in the game, apparently tried to trip Jay Crowder on the bench. Brian Robb caught it. In response, he said that what actually happened was his leg stiffened up. So another classic Rondo performance, even when he's not playing.
Wouldn't expect anything less.
I just want to say one other thing quickly. Like, Al Horford, I know he hasn't been scoring until this game all that much, but this guy's been playing pretty darn well in the playoffs so far. I mean, he's been getting rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks. He had a really impressive line tonight. And more than that, he was active. Even when he didn't get the rebound, and sometimes the Bulls would be a fight, and they'd end up with the offensive rebound and the putback, it wasn't as easy as it had been in the first 2 games. I saw Al fighting a whole lot more. And he did end up with 8 boards, 6 assists, 4 steals, a block, 18 points. Him and Isaiah had some nice little plays underneath. Isaiah threw a beautiful alley-oop to him, and then a really cool bounce pass where Al did a really awesome sort of acrobatic layup to finish as well. I feel like maybe Al's turning into a little bit more of that guy I've been hoping for. I mean, he is who he is, don't get me wrong. But if he could be like playoff Al Horford instead of regular Al Horford, just a little more shiny, then maybe, I don't know. I'm starting to believe in Zaire's 4 games in a row prediction. I got to tell you. I'm getting behind it.
It's that chili again, right?
It's like chili.
Chili Levy.
Oh, chili. The big bowl of chili. Yes, exactly like that, man. This time it was a lot of pizza, a lot of pepperoni and mushroom pizza.
This game should have been a blowout, right? I mean, I know they won by a large margin, but it should have been. It was, but it was a 3-point game going into the second half. Like, that was unacceptable. That should have never happened.
Oh, I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, like, Brad Stevens, like, you heard it if you were watching the national broadcast. Like, Brad Stevens was like, they're going to go on our runs, we're going to go on our runs. But he was really happy that the Celtics hit first, and then he implored them to do it again in the third quarter. Hoiberg basically had the same message as well. He said the Celtics hit us in the mouth in that first quarter. We gotta do it to them in the third. But clearly went Boston's way there. They won that quarter 32-22. One of the stranger things about this game was that Isaiah Thomas didn't have, like, he scored 16 points. I don't know how many times this year he's scored that or fewer. It's not that many. Shot wasn't exactly falling. The Bulls were showing him a lot of attention as they were all series, but he did a great job, I thought, when he saw that pressure, finding the Celtics open shooters. And really at the start of that game, when the Celtics were hitting 3 after 3 after 3. And, a lot of that was, good fortune for them. But a lot of it was Isaiah Thomas just making the right reads.
0 free throws for him, too.
Bizarre.
Yeah, only 7 free throws for the whole team. That was a little strange because it's not like they weren't attacking the paint. Maybe we need some post-game David Fizdale to wake some refs up. But Surprised Amir Johnson only 6 minutes.
No, not with the way
Nah.
not with how the playoffs have gone so far.
Looked great out there.
I mean, we look at like who didn't play this game. Like Amir Johnson didn't play, Jaylen Brown didn't play, Kelly Olynyk didn't play. Like these are guys that haven't exactly made their imprints on this series. Like Jaylen Brown's like come in and it's just blown assignments. Or
the Bulls light up when they see Kelly Olynyk in front of him. It seems like every time they attack Kelly in this series, they're either getting a bucket or a foul, or an offensive rebound. Sorry, Kelly.
He was all right tonight.
A solid -1 in his 14 minutes.
I don't know. 1 rebound in 14 minutes on a lot of missed shots.
That's true, and he did get dunked on by Jimmy Butler.
Oh, yeah, he did.
That'll happen.
Yeah.
No, but what's with Jimmy? Like, really taking his time to get 3 points, I think, at the half? Did it only 3?
They knocked Jimmy Butler off his game. He didn't get very many great looks. He didn't get the same looks he got in the first game and the second game. So, the credit's got to go to the Celtics. Let's keep going. What other things stand out to us about this game as we wind down this podcast? Like, did you see any other adjustments from Brad Stevens, anyone?
It was pretty much Avery or Marcus the whole way on Jimmy Butler.
Yeah,
Avery
it is true.
Too much Jay Crowder at all on Jimmy Butler, which I found a little surprising. I mean, in a pinch, you saw him a couple times.
Yeah, I also I liked the way Avery Bradley rebounded. I think he had 7 rebounds this game, but I like the way Avery Bradley played collectively. Like, he had a nice solid offensive game. I don't know how many assists he had, but
7.
It was,
yeah.
Oh, he had 7 assists. Oh, okay. So yeah, it was just a nice all around game about Avery Bradley, and hopefully he can continue that.
When he's moving the ball like that, and especially like in the first quarter, it just set the tone in the right way. Like the Celtics were going to put their imprint on the game with pace and space offense, and Avery Bradley being a willing ball mover was a huge part of that. Yeah, he and Al Horford, I think, should share the game ball.
Let's not forget Jonas Jerebko, guys. I know it was only 10 minutes, but come on. How about a little back to the basket alley-oop? Let's acknowledge the Swedish Larry Bird one time, please.
Did anyone notice like just a little bit more just basic high pick and roll involving Isaiah Thomas? I know Dunked On. Nate Duncan thought that the Celtics might go a little bit more towards that and get away from some of that pretty ball movement and just sort of get to the stuff that might work a little bit more in the playoffs. Just kind of running your bread and butter stuff while keeping the floor spread. I noticed that a little bit more in the second half, I guess. And they also did a good job running Isaiah off of like these double screens to just get Lopez in front of him and a lot of times he got isolated with a big on him.
The Celtics could have won this game by even more. They missed a lot of open corner shots, both corner threes and like 15-footers. In the second half, there was one point I think QB Brown was pointing out that they had 3, like Marcus Smart, Al Horford, and I think it was Avery Bradley, all missed like wide open corner, not threes, just corner like gimmies that like NBA players hit all the time. They missed all of them. And then I watched Jay Crowder miss back-to-back corner threes from opposite ends of the court. The Bulls seem to be conceding the corner, which is a weird thing to do, not something you'd expect from an NBA team. And in that way, I think, if this is something the Bulls don't patch up, this may bode well for the rest of the series.
I still think the Rondo thing is being underestimated by Bulls fans, and just every aspect of this Bulls team changes when Rajon Rondo's not in the lineup. Like, Dwayne Wade didn't look as good. Jerry Grant can't play basketball well. Robin Lopez wasn't the same player. I'm not too worried moving forward. Is there a chance that Rajon Rondo could come back, though? Because that dude played with a dislocated elbow one year and then played the full game with the torn ACL.
I'm looking at a report from Chris Mannix, which says Rajon Rondo says doctors have told him he will be out for, and I quote, a couple of weeks. So that pretty much knocks out the rest of the series, assuming that's right on.
And he might get a one-game suspension for the trip.
He can serve that next year.
Man, that shakes up the whole series then.
That guy still
the
has
Knicks
it.
offer him a max deal.
Oh, let it be. Let it be.
Yeah, I mean, the last impression of him is going to be pretty excellent. But yeah, I always thought that while Rondo was on this team, like for all his flaws and, the advanced stats were never that kind to him. I always thought he was a guy that I was just like comfortable going to war with. And I think the Celtics felt the same way. And that those intangible in big moments were the most valuable thing that he brought to the Celtics. And I'm glad that at least for a short while, he brought that to the Bulls. So inspired performance by the Celtics. It's a series once again. Chicago now leads 2-1, but the Celtics having a chance on Sunday, taking on the Bulls again for Game 4 at 6:30. We're going to do another podcast tomorrow morning, so that's Sunday. So talking a little bit more about some of the adjustments, I guess, that both teams are going to be making, and we're gonna discuss how our outlook about the rest of the series has changed following this Celtics effort. So for Jonathan Levy, my brother Jonathan, and David Davis, I'm Matt Ignall. We'll see you tomorrow.